What's up, guys? It's MB Boxing, and today I'm going to be predicting the outcome of Joseph Diaz Jr. versus Javier Fortuna, and this is going to be a 12-rounder for the Interim WBC Lightweight World Championship, and this fight is going to be Friday, July 9th from the Banc of California Stadium in Los Angeles, California, and this fight is going to be broadcasted on DAZN, and to get into both fighters, Joseph Diaz Jr. fighting out of the United States. He holds a record of 31 wins, 1 defeat, and 1 draw, with 15 wins coming by way of knockout. He's currently ranked number 6 by BoxRec in the super-featherweight division. His one lone loss comes to Gary Russell Jr. by unanimous decision, and some of his best victories come over Jesus M. Rojas via unanimous decision, and that was for the WBA regular featherweight world title. But Diaz Jr. did miss weight, meaning he was not able to win the title. But then he also has a knockout victory over Freddie Fonseca for the vacant WBA Gold Super Featherweight World title. He's also beaten Tevin Farmer by unanimous decision, and that was for the IBF Super Featherweight World Championship. And then, in what was supposed to be his first title defense, he took on Shavkat Rakhimov, and he did miss weight there, meaning he would lose his title. And then Shavkat Rakhimov and him battled to a draw, and that was in February of 2021. And I did cover that fight, so I'd appreciate it if you guys could go check that one out. And as for his opponent, Javier Fortuna, he holds a record of 36 wins, 2 defeats, and 1 draw, with 25 wins coming by way of knockout. He's currently ranked number 4 by BoxRec in the lightweight division. His 2 defeats come to Robert Easter Jr. by split decision, and Fortuna did miss weight, and that was supposed to be for the IBF lightweight world title, so the title was not on the line for him. And he does also get a knockout loss to Jason Sosa for the WBA regular super featherweight world title. And in that fight, Fortuna was the champion, where he did win that belt, I believe, against Brian Vasquez, and it was vacant at the time, and that was via, I believe, unanimous decision. And immediately after, he did lose to Jason Sosa, but I believe he did have a title defense before that. But in that Jason Sosa fight, I believe it was really, really close going into that 11th round, but then Fortuna just got dropped and just couldn't continue and got stopped there. And I believe that fight was in China. Very big venue, very big fight for both fighters. And he also has victories over Patrick Hyland, and that was for the interim WBA featherweight world title. And he did lose on the scale immediately after, and he won that fight via unanimous decision. And immediately after, when he lost the title on the scale, he did pick up a first-round knockout victory in what was supposed to be his first title defense, but obviously he was stripped of his belt. And he has a no decision against Adrian Granados, and I believe in that fight he was dropped, or so I heard, because there really isn't any footage of it. But from what I saw in the BoxRec scorecards, they had, I believe, Granados ahead by like a point or so, something like that. But I heard that Fortuna was losing that fight, and it was fairly competitive. And I wonder how the fight would have went on if Fortuna did not get pushed out of the ring. And in my opinion, this fight is going to be really, really close. I could see either man winning personally. Fortuna is naturally the bigger man. I believe he has a half-inch height advantage. That's not really much. And I believe he also has like a 4-inch or a 3-inch reach advantage over Diaz Jr. And Diaz Jr., he has missed weight before, as I mentioned, against Rakhimov and Rojas. But this will be his first fight at 135, I believe, so at a high level, because he's fighting a top 10 opponent in Fortuna. And I believe that Fortuna was supposed to take on Ryan Garcia for Garcia's interim WBC belt, but Garcia was stripped of that title due to not accepting the fight with Fortuna, and it was supposed to be on this exact date. I wonder how that fight would have went, but obviously Garcia did pull out. But Diaz Jr. is a good opponent, former champion at 130, and as I said before, it's going to be really, really close. I could see either man winning, but as of now, I'm sort of edging the former world champion at 130 in Joseph Diaz Jr. to win this fight. I believe that he will try and box on the outside. I'm not really too sure if Fortuna is really going to box like he always does, or if he's really going to counter and land power shots like he did in his last fight against Antonio Lozada. And Lozada was an opponent who is far taller and who had a long reach advantage over Fortuna, but Fortuna really just got on the inside and landed some great shots and dropped Lozada, and then got a stoppage win in the 6th round. But yeah, Diaz Jr., as I said before, he's a boxer. He doesn't really have a lot of power. So I don't really see him stopping Fortuna, but Fortuna has been stopped by Jason Sosa, who really isn't the biggest power puncher on planet Earth. But as I said before, I don't see a stoppage here. I've been seeing a lot of people predicting Fortuna to win this fight by knockout, but I don't really see that personally. I see it playing out really, really competitive and close early on, but I see Diaz Jr. with his gas tank just going on into the later rounds, and I could definitely see him winning a lot of those later rounds from like round 8 on over Fortuna, because in his fight against Rakhimov, his gas tank did hold up, and the earlier rounds were really, really close, but then obviously he won most of the later rounds, and in my opinion, he won that fight pretty clear, an 8-4, if not a 7-5, 115-113, or 116-112. But as for Fortuna, he has shown that his gas tank doesn't really take him into the later rounds. And as I said before, I see this fight going distance, and I could see Diaz Jr. edging most of those later rounds. Therefore, I believe that Joseph Diaz Jr. will defeat Javier Fortuna by a majority decision. Yes, I see it being that close, and I believe those later rounds will really help out Diaz Jr. to get the victory. I could see the judges scoring the bout 116-112 and 115-113 in favor of Diaz Jr., and one judge obviously having about 114-114 even. So overall, I believe that Joseph Diaz Jr. will defeat Javier Fortuna by majority decision to win the interim WBC lightweight world title and to possibly go on to face either Devin Haney or Ryan Garcia in the near future. And yeah, that's really it. I'm MB Boxing. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.